Hello, everyone. Welcome to the TCS Alumni podcast series. I'm Afsha Khan from the City School Counseling, Alumni and Placement Services Department. Today, we are celebrating the International Women's Day and we are celebrating the achievements of our distinguished alumni. We have Ms. Mehtab Lashare with us. She's a graduate of the City School Gulberg campus batch of 1998. She's a seasoned leader having an over 14 years of global experience in sales tech industry. And also we have Ms. Aisha with us. She is into the leadership position for the last 12 years. She's from the TCS Daraksha campus batch of 1995 and currently working for LUMS. We welcome both of you here to the TCS Alumni podcast series. How are you doing?
Thank you for having us, Afsha. Very
Thank
happy
you,
to be
Afsha.
here.
Looking forward to hearing your successful journeys. We're honored to have you here. So please introduce yourselves first and share the highlights of your professional journey with us. Please, may I request Mehtab to start with?
Sure. So let me start from the time when I was graduating from LUMS. I was doing my MBA there. And after that, during that time, MBA, there's a lot of ambition for people to go into brand management or finance.
Right.
Those are the two topics. And so for me, it was marketing and brand management was my, strong passion at that time. And as they say, you can plan things, but he is the best planner.
That's
So,
no doubt in it.
during that time, Cisco came for a recruitment drive to LUMS, or wahan pe they, were looking for people to hire for the flagship early in career program called CSAP.
Right.
And it was a one-year training in Amsterdam. They were selecting people from all over the world. And from 44 countries.
Wow.
So uske liye, it sounded very exciting. Okay, let's work in a different country. And so I was enticed by that. I ended up applying for it. And so they shortlisted around from thousands of applicants, they shortlisted a few hundred people. And, out of that, then they ended up selecting 3 people for Pakistan. And I was one of those
And you
people.
were one of them, right?
So then, alhamdulillah, having that experience was really incredible. I refer to it as like having a mini United Nations experience because you had people from 44 nationalities. We were a batch of 100. So usme har ek se, you get to learn a lot
Definitely.
about different cultures and how people have different communication styles, different motivations as
Yeah.
well. So then after that, I ended up staying in Cisco for almost 14 to 15 years.
Wow.
And I think one of the key factors was really having a very strong and inclusive culture,
Right.
which we'll talk about more in detail later in this podcast. So then I worked in a variety of roles in sales and operations. Most of my experience has been in operations. Most recently, I was heading the sales operations team for ASEAN. So that's Southeast Asia.
Right.
That comprises of 10 countries. So notable of those is Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand. So I was responsible for managing the sales planning and operations of a 100-plus sales team. And they were delivering a revenue of around 700 million. So it was a very rewarding journey at Cisco, and then I've moved back to Pakistan now. And here we are, and I'm very excited to talk about the topics that you have for us on Women's Day.
That's true. That's true. So it was, a great exposure that you got, and you got, selected out of 100 candidates, and you got, selected. It's really good. We really appreciate it. And I would like Ms. Aisha to please share your journey with us.
Thank you. Currently, I am the head of communications at the business school at LUMS. After my O-levels from City School, I went to St. Joseph's College, and then I got a master's in English from Karachi University, following which I joined Oxford University Press. That's where I got my initial training as an editing and publishing professional. From then, I moved to Lahore, where I joined LUMS, the business school, as an editor in their case research center, where I worked with the business school faculty in working on their applied research. In 2019, I took over as the head of communications at the business school, looking at all of their marketing material of the business school, of their admissions, of their events, their social media marketing, a lot of what you do over here. And I think as a publications professional and as a communications professional, one of the highlights for me has been whenever we launch something, be it whenever we launch a magazine, whenever we launch a book, whenever we launch an academic conference, that has been something which is inspirational, which you feel you create something from scratch. And that's always been a highlight for me.
That's wonderful. So you both have, I must say, have achieved a lot throughout your career. So I would like to know about your experience of the City School. How was it? Yes, Ms. Aisha.
Sure. I joined City School in nursery. So from nursery all the way to grade 11th O-levels, I was in City School. Experiences was obviously all of my memories are from the City School.
That's wonderful.
My first friends were made there. My mother was a teacher at the City School as well, so I had like a backstage kind of access as well. And I think it's played a pivotal role in bringing me where I am today. We also were, I think, one of those batches which moved around a lot because the Raksha campus had not been made when I joined the City School. So I think I can say that we grew with the school.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Lovely. And how was your experience? How do you think the City School actually shaped you helped you in your career?
Yeah, so I mean, as I'm listening to Aisha, I think there are a lot of similar experiences which I had with City. I didn't have the pleasure to spend as long a time as you did, but some of the friendships that we made very powerful. And what I liked about the school, we were in a very small campus. I think it doesn't. I was speaking to you earlier. That building in its original shape doesn't exist anymore. So we had. The Gulbarga campus was a very small, tight-knit community. Everyone knew each other. And some of the friendships that I've formed in my time at City have been very valuable. I'm still in touch with a lot of
That's
people.
Great.
And so I think that community aspect of it, that's been my most treasured time from City.
That's wonderful. So now I would like to talk about your professional careers. So I have a question from you, Ms. Mehtab. Since you have traveled a lot and you are having 14 years of global experience, how have you adapted to different cultures and work environments?
I think there was a lot of diversity in culture, and what I really, a significant portion of my experience has been working in Southeast Asia.
All right.
Now, Southeast Asia, even though it is one region, but it is a very diverse region. And the way that you do business in a country like Singapore, for example, will be very different from Cambodia. So what I ended up seeing is that, yes, we have diversity. So what you need to do is adapt your communication style. Because, there's in some cultures, there will be a bit of more power distance, whereas, in other cultures, it's a more westernized, typical kind of business environment that they're working in. So that's one key learning. I think that's one of the skills which I developed is how to adapt your communication
Definitely
style.
a learning experience, I must say.
Yeah.
So you learned many different languages as well?
Unfortunately, no. But I did end up picking up a few words here and there to make your life easier.
Yeah.
So the other thing which I noticed was that, yes, the diversity is there, but there's a lot of things that we have in common with other people. What motivates you, what makes you tick. Those universal things are very similar across the board. Right. So I think it was a great learning. And then I also could see the differences in the way that they do business in Southeast Asia, having worked in, Middle East and Africa region as well prior to that. It's a very different business dynamic. And so I think those are some of the experiences that I have really gained a lot from.
Right. Must be very learning experience, I'm sure. So my question is from you, Miss Aisha, now, like you have been serving as a leader and you are into the leadership role for the last 12 years. So tell me, how's your experience in Pakistan, how the women are perceived in leadership positions?
I think women leaders are accepted. Of course, there are many women leaders, not enough, but they are. And slowly in Pakistan, as more women have come out now and are starting to work, I see that there are more women entering the professional arena. There are more women working now as opposed to, say, 10 years earlier. So things are changing, but we do need more women leaders. I was just reading a Forbes article in which they said that globally there are only about 32% women in leadership roles around the world, which was the highest that they had in 2022. So obviously, we need more women leaders there who will then mentor new women leaders. In Pakistan, there are different sectors. So, I cannot comment on all sectors because I have primarily been in the higher ed sector. So when it comes to the higher ed academic sector, there are a lot of women, but I think women leadership positions are still scarce. If you notice, I think in schools probably we do find more women leaders, in regional director positions, CEO positions. However, when we look at higher ed, I think there is still a need. I personally have not faced any negative experiences in my life in the positions I have been, but I can't say that for everyone. Pakistan is a patriarchal society. It can be difficult for women to be leaders and to lead teams, to primarily male dominated. So there are definitely challenges, and I think more conversations like this are like this, what we are doing now, are needed.
Exactly.
To sensitize people, to make women aware of what they can do, of what they can achieve, to inspire them, to encourage them, and to motivate them to continue their
them, definitely,
journeys.
To support them,
That's right.
in these certain positions. Right, that's great. So now I'm moving on towards, the women in workplace. Right. So have you seen that the mentorship is very much important, the support systems, So do you see the women are supporting each other, or they are the good mentors?
Absolutely. Mentorship, be it from women or men, is important. Right. When you're starting out in your career, you need good people to guide you.
Exactly.
So that's definitely important. You obviously need women in leadership positions to guide you.
Yeah.
So I think that as a head of a department, I try to look after the women in my team, and I do try to mentor them, I think, to provide them with an environment in which they can grow. So women mentorship is very important. But as I was sharing earlier, that I wish I had more women mentors. I think when I look back, most of my professional mentors were men professionally, because I have never had a female boss. So I've had some great male bosses. So I think that as more women come into the field and more women grow, and they need to be given the opportunity to lead. So definitely that we will have more female mentors there. Having said that, there are lots of female role models around, and hence I think events like these are instrumental in for people to connect with those female role models and get inspiration from them.
So Mehtab, how you are managing, how you are supporting the women working for you?
I think that's a great question.
Yeah.
I think, as women are facing certain struggles in their career, and some of them are very relatable for us. We've been on a similar journey. So I think there's part of it is, having to do with how do you pay it forward.
Right.
Having said that, I also feel that all of that burden should not be on women as well. Men also need to play their part.
Exactly.
ठीक है, और जैसे Aisha said something very relevant earlier, most of the mentors that she's worked with have been men. So still a lot of organizations, they don't have women, in senior leadership positions. So you may not necessarily find, mentors who are women. So in my career, I've had a mix of both. Some pretty incredible women that I've worked with who've helped shape me, in my career. What I would say is कि mentorship में the things which I feel that a lot of times women struggle with is making their voice heard in meetings. So what I try to do is, whenever there's a meeting and by the way, this is not necessarily related to women that report to you, right? I'm talking about how we can generally support women. Is that you feel if there's voice is not being heard, you make it more inclusive and ask, has everyone had their say in the meeting? I think that's very important.
Give her confidence to speak up,
To speak up. Because शुरू में early in career में hesitation होता है.
Definitely.
So as a leader, your job is to make sure that everyone is heard. So that's one part. The other part is I find कि mentorship पे हमारा बहुत ज़्यादा ध्यान होता है कि आप काम करें. हमारी traditional mentality है कि you put your head down and you work and then the results will be seen. But we know in reality that's not always the case. It's not just about what you do, but making sure that your work is visible and it's visible to the right people.
Other than mentorship, are there any sponsors as well?
So I'm glad you asked that, Afsha, because that's a lesser known concept for people of having sponsors.
Having sponsors,
right? So mentors are the people who are going to help you with honing a particular skill or providing you a technical training के भी mentors होते हैं, हर किस्म के mentors होते हैं.
सही है.
But what I find that less people are familiar with or actively seek out is sponsors. Or sponsors का role ये है कि that will be someone who is very senior in the organization and they will be at a position of decision making.
Okay.
They'll have a seat at the table.
Okay.
So they're the ones who are looking at having discussions around who's going to get promoted, who's going to get raises, and उन लोगों के साथ आपकी जो access है and having that strong linkage is very important. Now, I guess you could ask, how do you do that? How do you find a sponsor?
Yeah.
So it's definitely not going to be like you knocking on the door and
I'm
landing
getting
up with
the
a sponsor.
sponsors. Yeah.
So uska jo first step yahi hai कि as you're progressing through your career, you're finding mentorship, you're growing, you're developing. So along the way, you will, once your work starts getting picked up and recognized, that's the right time for you to start approaching people who are more senior in the leadership team. It's not a one-sided relationship as well.
Yeah.
ना ये mentorship में one-sided होता है, ना sponsorship में. Because the sponsor also gains from you.
Yeah.
So sponsors, a lot of times, if they're very senior in the organization, they're very out of touch with what's happening on the ground. So you are their eyes and ears, right? And it's not to say eyes and ears like you're gossiping about what's happening in work, let's be very clear. But you're really sharing field insights with them.
Yeah.
Okay, this is what is happening with the customers. These are their pain points.
And then they're guiding you, then they're guiding you. It's a good thing. It's a new term that I wasn't even familiar with this, and I will be finding it. Someone, sponsors for myself. So yeah, it's a good thing. And also, another challenge I believe women are facing in the workplace, that they're not good negotiators. They're doing the same jobs and, paid less than men, I think.
That's a struggle. And, it's not just Pakistan, it's all over the world, right?
Yeah.
For the same job, women are being paid less in a lot of companies. Surprisingly, in a lot of multinational companies as well. So isme you have to first of all acknowledge that problem exists.
That exists.
Right.
And now we are working towards its solution.
So now, how do we address it?
Yeah.
First of all, isme ye hai ki top level of the organization, they really need to be committed to this, that, we need to have equal pay for all roles level. Those standardized. HR, agar aapki strong ho, so they also ensure that, pay structures are standardized. For the same role, people should not be getting too far off a salary. Having said that, again, practically, what can you do? What are some practical tips that we can share with women when it comes to negotiating for their
salaries,
promotions and raises? And so promotions mein ye hai ki first of all, I think we need to get out of this traditional mindset कि if I put my head down and I, work very hard and I will get promoted. I can tell you that doesn't happen. Okay? No matter how good you are, you have to be the one having that conversation. So it does two things, right? You definitely need to put in the hard work, but that alone will not get you there. You need to have conversations with your manager about, what can I do more to get promoted? And that does two things. Yeah. Like one is that it shows your ambition, that you're a very ambitious person and
you even want to work more, Exactly. And you can even work more to get more.
You can get a stretch assignment perhaps, right? And it helps you to grow and develop. And the second thing it does is it creates a compelling event. So now your manager knows that, okay, he or she is doubly committed to your development. Yeah. And there is a reward attached to it. Okay, if I do XYZ assignment, if I do this, we're looking at a potential promotion. Similarly, similar thing for raise. I mean, for me, it's very astounding. Right now in Pakistan, if you look at the inflation rate, it's trending around 30%. Yeah. And how many, do you think people are getting 30% raises?
No.
Definitely not, right? So, but again, if you're not even having that conversation with anyone, you will be moving from year on, and you're not going to get, you need to understand what your worth is in the market. So, wo aspect hai. Now, this is internal. The other is if you're applying to a different company, how do you, a lot of times what happens is, ab hum baat kar rahe the ki women are not getting paid enough. Yeah. And then you don't want to get locked in it as well. So when you're applying to another company, sometimes the first question they'll ask you is, how much were you getting paid?
Exactly.
And so this is where you have to be very smart. So first of all, do your research on the company, what are the pay scales that are trending for that kind of a role. And you can get that access from Glassdoor. Itna mushkil nahi hai to get that information. Network se apne poochein. But the other part of it is, okay, you also, you can ask them what is their budget for the role. So you push the question back, right? How much are you budgeting for the role?
Interesting. Yeah.
So, or usme, because otherwise you're leaving money on the table, right? If you come up with the first number.
Okay, what's your budget?
And they might be budgeting more for it, right? Yeah. And मैं उसमें भी बता दूँगी वो budget आपको बताएंगे, it's going to be on the medium range, right? So there'll probably be a bigger way to go from there as well. Okay. So I think ये चीज़ें जो है आपको mind में रखनी चाहिए, that just because a question is being asked, and you are under no obligation to share how much you were earning, right? And आप उस चीज़ में वो lock in होंगे, and the work is also going to be different, right? When you change roles, it's going to be a different role and responsibility. तो वो comparison जो है वो relevant भी नहीं है.
बिल्कुल.
So I think these are some of the things which we can bear in mind, especially as women are progressing in their careers, they're thinking about changing roles, they can look into it.
So you believe that we should ask confidently what we really want to,
because you're worthy
based
of
on
it.
the budget.
You're worthy of it, right? You've put in the work. Yeah, there's no free lunch.
There's no free lunch. That's true. I agree with you, absolutely. So, and every woman, I believe the woman should be financially independent. They should be earning and working in various industries. So I would like to talk about work-life balance with you, right? So how do you manage it? First of all, tell me what work-life balance is for you.
Sure. I mean, work-life balance for me is, just making sure that I'm able to successfully and, carry out my work and also manage my personal life at the same time, trying to do both equally well. Yeah. So how I'm doing it, I have two children.
Oh, right.
My daughter is 16 and my son is 11.
Okay.
And I have been working. I think I started my first job after after I graduated, so I've been working throughout.
Oh,
You to create a work-life balance, you do need support. A support system is important. It could be anything, It could be one person. It could be two people. So for me, I have had that. I have that support system from my family, and I also believe that if you're working and if you're earning money, so spend the money to make your own life comfortable. So that's something I do. Wherever I mean, I have tutor for my son.
yeah.
It does make it allows me to relax.
Yeah.
It allows me to give time to other things. It also allows me to fulfill my work responsibilities. So I think we women sometimes feel guilty for counting on that support.
Yeah.
Because we want to do everything ourselves, and so we feel guilty. And because I've come across a lot of conversations on social media as to, so there was a very strong tutor bias I had to or tutor prejudice I had to kind of overcome to say I send my kids to tuitions, because you hear that, teach your kids yourself and all that. I have with time I have learned that if something is allowing me to give more time to myself and being a happier person, then I'm going to go for it. So I think that women need to just stop being hard on themselves and take and grab the opportunities that come their way to make their life easy. So wherever I can, I do it. Having said that, it's not easy.
Yeah.
Managing work, especially if you're a very, if you're a bit of a perfectionist,
Yeah.
and you want to give your 100% to work, you want to give your 100% to your home.
your home.
So I mean, it can be difficult, but it's a commitment. And that commitment has to come from within. It's you have to have made up your mind, I want to do it, and it's doable. But it's difficult, and we all have our moments. We need to take a break, and I think that following from what Mehtab said about mentors, and we talked about sponsors, I think friends are also very important. Your support system, it could be your sister, it could be, but that support system, gets you going. Sometimes your friends also act as your sponsors, sometimes, or mentors, and give you advice. So try to find time for them, because they sort of keep things light, and so that's how I manage to do it. I try to find avenues where I can make my life easier, and I do it very actively.
Very good.
Like I make an active effort to make my life easy, especially now that I've started studies while working.
And
the last
managing
2
the
years,
house even.
yes.
Yeah.
So I've so that I have been very, very, very conscious of the need to get help. One thing I do want to add to everyone who's watching is that it's very important to organize your life as a to balance it. You have to have a plan. This is how I'm going to run my day. This is how I'm going to run my week. And if you have a plan, you will be able to manage where I'm going to plug in my time with my family, where I'm plugging in my time. These are my work commitments. These are my social commitments. Without organizing your day or organizing your week, then it's going to get chaotic.
That's true.
So practically speaking, managing your day, managing your week is, I think, very important. And it's not going to manage itself. If you're working, if you're studying, if you're taking care of your household, it has to be done very consciously.
Right, that's true. I agree. Time management is again very much important. And what companies should do, Mehtab, what type of policies or strategies, what the companies can implement, what do you think?
So I think companies have a big role to play.
Yeah.
So a lot of what Aisha mentioned resonates with me, right? I want to add something before we talk about the company role. One thing is that, it's incredibly important to manage your time effectively.
Yeah.
So one of the things which I tend to do is that, you've got your work calendar, but make sure that calendar includes everything.
Right.
It includes time for your personal commitments as well. And what it does is, not only does it make it clear for you what you're planning to do next, but it also sends a signal for everyone else that you are busy at that time, right? So for example, like if I have an important, lunch date with my family,
All right.
I will block that time in my calendar, so it cannot be booked by anyone, right? So that's one, and the other one is yes, it's very important to set boundaries. That's the only way that you can make sure that ये जो illusion of work-life balance है, वैसे इसको हम balance कह नहीं सकते. I call it work-life choices.
Right.
You're making different choices. Sometimes you'll be spending more time with family. Sometimes you'll be spending more at work. It's just the nature of the beast. So, and now coming to your point about, what companies can do. So companies can support women in a lot of ways. And I think they are doing that. What we see in the post-COVID world is that, as people have become more comfortable working remotely, now most companies are moving towards the hybrid model.
Yeah.
तो उसमें it offers a lot of flexibility to women, right? So you're not glued to your office seat. You can work from anywhere.
That's true.
So you can drop your kids to school, you can go to your office, then when you pick them up, you can continue your work from home, right? So that's technology has been a great equalizer here.
Yeah.
और टेक्नोलॉजी के एस्पेक्ट से मैं एक और चीज़ मेंशन करूँगी कि it has also enabled a lot of people, and in particular women, to get access to like free training and a lot of online resources, right?
Yeah.
आपके पास Coursera है, Udemy है. There are a lot of ways for people to upskill themselves. So that I think also helps you elevate your position in an organization. When you're up to date with what's going on.
With the latest trends in technology.
With the latest trends and technologies.
एक चीज़ मैं इसमें ऐड करना चाहूँगी, and I think more younger people looking to find jobs, one thing they can also do is actively look for organizations that promote, that encourage women to apply, and वो आपको उनकी practices और policies से पता चल जाएगा. Many organizations now are, have daycare centers
it is very important.
within their premises, and which make it easy for women to work. Many of them now also give flexible timings, and I think because of the hybrid model, women, it's easier for them. I can confidently say that one of the reasons why I have been working uninterruptedly over the last more than a decade is because my organization has a daycare on campus. And when my daughter was 6 months, she went to the daycare. When my son was a year, he went to the daycare.
Excellent.
So, it just made it so easy. And since it's on its premises, I was able to, go meet her during lunch. And, they grew while my career grew.
Yeah,
So it's, and now many other organizations are also following suit. And because of social media, they publicize it. So women can actually say, I want to work for an organization which has these kinds of policies. And I think slowly they will have more options.
For women, and so that, we can focus on our personal and professional lives.
That's
both.
right.
All right. So as we wrap up, I would like each of you to, share the key takeaways or tips for women.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you. Finally, मैं ये कहना चाहूँगी that for all women out there, take life easy. अपने आप को ये ना समझें कि आप किसी चीज़ में stuck हैं, आप कुछ नहीं कर सकती. You can do anything you want to do. Don't be too hard on yourself. accept the help that comes your way, and you can do anything you want to do.
Perfect. And you, Mehtab?
So I would say have a strong conviction in yourself. So, if an opportunity presents itself to you, get out of your comfort zone and embrace it. A lot of times ये होता है कि we have our own self-limiting beliefs which hold us back. So if you see that happening to you, take a pause and understand that that's happening, right? And don't be so afraid of failure, because a lot of times, especially when it comes to women taking on managerial responsibility, even if it's staring them at the face, even if they're overqualified for it, they'll hold themselves back. So don't do that. The other thing is networking. Use your network to your advantage. Or network, it can be of all types: people from your university, people you've met at work. And this is a tool which can be used very effectively, right? Both for your own career development and also to help you land more roles. So invest time in yourself. As I spoke earlier, invest time in upskilling and training yourself, and make that your advantage.
Thank you, Mehtab and Aisha, for sharing your inspiring and empowering words with us. Towards the end, I would like to remind all the women out there to simply believe in yourself, trust your abilities, and take care of yourself. Happy Women's Day.
Happy Women's Day.